Peace and blessings to the listeners of this word. How y'all doing out there? This is the Awakening Podcast, and it's your man, Super Solican, aka Nico V. I want to get into this message for y'all quickly. This is an important message, a very powerful message that the believers need to understand. I want to drill this in y'all head, and to the enemies of the Lord. I want to drill this in your head because this is something Satan knows. Jesus Christ is no punk. Do you understand? Jesus Christ is no punk. He's not some hippie like how he's depicted. The only people who depict Jesus Christ is some passive, oh man, peace, love, and all that goofiness, all that, where God is a loving God, just where he don't have no other side to him. Those who present him like that are people who don't know God. Let me get that clear. Those who present Jesus as some passive hippie punk, they don't know him. Because Jesus was the strongest man on earth. I'm going to tell you, it take more, because let me give you some gems of life. It take more strength to sacrifice yourself for your brother than for you to just let him get killed while you just looking at it. Or it take more strength for you to turn your other cheek and take a beating for someone than for you to stand up and knock a nigga out and just knock his head off, or for you to be, just Mike Tyson a dude. I'm going to tell you what, let me give you an example of that. Mike Tyson recently just was at a comedy show, and a guy ran up on him. A guy ran up on Mike Tyson, and Mike with a gun, and pulled the gun. He wanted to fight Mike Tyson, and then he pulled the gun out on Mike Tyson. You know what Mike Tyson did? See, Mike Tyson has now grown in the strength of the Lord. Mike Tyson is more of a spiritual person now. You understand? God has saved Mike from a lot. God has had favor on Mike Tyson, raised him up as a gladiator. Now, when that man came in with that gun, Mike didn't steal off on him. He didn't hit him. Mike didn't try to disarm the man, and maybe somebody else in there would have got shot. Maybe he would have disarmed him and shot the dude, blew his head off. Maybe Mike would have just knocked him out with one punch. But no, what Mike did was just embrace the brother. He told him, he just asked him to, to shake his hand. Basically, his example is, if you give people this, when you are a believer and you implement the spirit to the person, they're human too, and God comes in. It don't matter if they in sin, you've been in sin, don't matter. You've been in sin also. So the person right there is just at their time, they in their time of breaking, and the sin is beating them. You implement the spirit of God, and God jumps in the middle of it. Jesus will jump in the middle of it and put his hand in the middle of the person's chest. It's like, brother, sister, stop. He will literally do it. The spirit will come down. And at the end of that scenario, you saw the guy in him, and Mike Tyson ended up hugging. You understand? Because that man understand what he was doing. He was being controlled by Satan. He was blind. He was finna throw his life away right then and there. He didn't have no problems with Mike Tyson. Didn't even know Mike Tyson. So this is how Jesus deterred, the strength that Jesus Christ endured. When they came to Jesus at the in the garden, and they came to him and and they was ready to take him, and Judas, first of all, he knew Judas was gonna sell him out. He knew that. He knew Judas, but Jesus Christ could have just hollered at his father. Jesus Christ himself could have just looked at Judas when he found out he was a snake, and he could, first of all, Jesus could have killed Judas before he was even born. He could have stillbirthed Judas, but he didn't. God knew it. The Heavenly Father knew that Judas was going to betray him. He knew that. He knew he was going to betray his human incarnation on earth, but he still allowed it. This is because God, the strength of the Lord, he know you can't touch him. He know Jesus Christ allowed these people to grab him up, take him, the living God allowed his creation. He allowed people that he seen, that he helped heal. He didn't, saw in their worst conditions, people who just basically can be looked at as pathetic. He let them grab him up, take him, lie on him, beat him. He allowed himself to be beat. You saw Passion of the Christ. Do you still think that's some punk? He get it in blood. You know how the Father get down. So if you know that the God the Father is a genocidal maniac, Lord forgive me, I don't mean like not a maniac, of course, but God is genocidal, like he will kill anything moving. And if you know that, why do you think him just splitting a part of himself into a vessel? Why do you think that that's some punk? I'm gonna read to you I'm gonna prove some. I've already given you numerous examples, but let me read to you from the book, from the good book. And this is Mark in the Bible. This is Mark chapter 11, verse 15. And it says, when they arrived back to Jerusalem, he went to the temple and began to drive out the merchants and their customers. He, meaning Jesus. He went to the temple and began to drive out the merchants and their customers. He knocked over their tables of the money changers and the stalls selling doves and stopped everyone from bringing loads of merchandise. Jesus Christ basically came into a den of thieves and regulated them. Could you walk into could you go walk into a cartel house and regulate things and start moving niggas around, telling niggas get up out? Could you go walk into a place? I just recently talked to a woman, at my job who and she was needing help, and she was complaining that she was living in an apartment that was below a meth house, that was below the tenants above were in cahoots with the landlord, and they were allowing those tenants to conduct a meth lab and make drugs up there, causing the fumes to go seep down into the below and get that woman sick. The woman was like, she felt like she was going to die. She didn't have nothing to do but talk to God and ask God. And God revealed to her what was going on. And she ended up, calling an attorney, get some help. You understand? Because that's what I'm talking about. That's wrong. But would you be able to go in that house up there? Would you go up there to that meth lab and be able to regulate stuff? You can't. Some of you can't do that. A lot of you can't do anything because you don't have any power. You don't have true power. You think that getting a gun, you think me putting a gun in your hand make you powerful. The Lord say you live by the sword, you shall die by that sword. When Peter was cutting, when they came to get Jesus and was taking him, finna take him to his fate that was already written and ordained by God. He knew what was gonna go on. Jesus knew that he had to be sacrificed. When they was taking him for that, Peter started wilding. Peter, the disciple we all love, and the disciple that loved Jesus, man. And Jesus loved him. But Peter was a wild boy. Peter was throwing them things, man, swinging his sword. He ain't care. So, but Jesus right there in the midst, seeing him cut the centurion ear out. Boom, he just cut a dude ear out. Nigga falling out. Jesus saw that and was like, man, brother, boom, hold up. My G. Peter, stop. You look down at your hand, and you look down that sword in your hand, got blood on. Look down at that. Now, just look down at that. Now just picture that in another person's hands. And now this is you. You understand? Nothing get an eye for an eye really leaves the whole world blind. Nothing will get done and get solved if we all just resort to violence as soon as we have a problem. If we just resort to trying to kill someone, like you saw in The Wire, man, who killed Omar, the baddest goon in the hood walking. It was a little kid. Anybody can pull a trigger, man. Anyone. An old lady, if she just muster up the strength, she'll blow your head off. Does that make her strong? Does that make her formidable? Yeah, with the gun in her hand, like anybody be formidable. But that's not true strength. That's not true formidability. You understand? It's not. And it's not, and I don't see how, again, only those who haven't read the Bible, only those who don't know Jesus Christ would try to equate him as being some punk, some passive, love everything, lovey-dovey. Like, yes, the Lord loves the world. He died for it. But you got to understand, the problem is a lot of you people don't even know what true love is. Love isn't passive. For one, it doesn't just sit and expect you to do good. Sit back and watch you mess up, and mess up. No, it's active. It get active. It tell you when you messing up. It get active. It put itself in the hard, in the uncomfortable positions. It plunges itself into uncomfortable positions, unknown. You know what I'm saying? To go get those to go save someone, or to go help someone, or to go ask whom they claim they love. They'll put themselves in harm's way in order to help that person. Jesus Christ did that multiple times. When the chief priest, it says, first of all, let me go back to that. It says Mark 11 this is chapter 11, verse 15. When they arrived back to Jerusalem, Jesus went to the temple and began to drive out the merchants and their customers. Man, get out of here. What are you doing in this church? What are you doing in my Father's house, in a place that's supposed to be a place of worship? This is why the community is suffering. This is why everybody out here is a sheep without a shepherd. This is why the people is in such of a bad state. Get out of here. And that's what he was doing. He knocked some of them weren't listening. Some of them weren't moving fast enough. These criminals, these are men who some people say they step on stuff. These are men who are thieves. Jesus Christ say some of them weren't moving fast enough. He lifted his hand under the table, turned it over. Like how you seen on CB4. Like it's a movie called CB4. In the beginning scene, it was a rapper, the real gangster. Well, he wasn't a rapper. He was a real gangster. His name was Gusto. And these rappers were who took his persona, who took his lifestyle and made it their own to make money. They were talking to Gusto. Well, one of them was trying to get Gusto to allow them to perform in the club. And in the midst of that, Gusto grabbed under the table, just tossed it, flipped it up. Like, man, and that's when a real dude do that, it's on. It's on. He didn't flip your stuff. Flipped it what? Like, that's when a real man creates actions, like whether he flipped some or he hit a dude, whatever. He at that point in time, he ready for whatever you gonna retaliate with. He ready for whatever you got. Jesus Christ lifted his hand under the tables, flipped them junks, said, man, what? You know what I'm saying? What y'all like? Then grabbed the dove stalls, tossed them over. They stalls of doves. Jesus Christ grabbed them, threw them over. Looking at them dude, like, didn't I say get up out of here? And what he told them in verse 17, pardon me. This is chapter 11, verse 17. What Jesus told them, he said, it is written in the scriptures, my temple is to be a place of prayer for all nations, but you turned it into a den of robbers. When the chief priest heard and the other Jewish leaders heard what he had done, you know what they were doing? They couldn't step to Jesus. So what they began to do, they began on planning on how best to get rid of him. But the problem is they had fear of the riots because Jesus pretty much won the people over. That's true power. Jesus have the power. Jesus pretty much amassed an army. He pretty much had a following. He pretty much ingrained himself to where you couldn't touch him unless he allowed it. You see? Again, you heard what I just said. If Jesus was on the tip of, I'm going to use my physical prowess and things like that, or use this false sense of power that what y'all think it is, he would have eliminated Judas before he even left the Last Supper. He would have had his disciples grab him. Hey, subdue him, grab him. They would have. Get him and cut his throat. They would have done it for him. But Jesus Christ, true strength. He endured everything that was coming to him. Crying blood. It's a very hard thing, and we experience only a glimpse of this as believers. we go out of our way, put ourselves in uncomfortable positions, use our hard-earned time and money to give people the gospel, to save them alive because we love them. We have a genuine love for humanity and our brothers and sisters. And we were also saved alive and, at one time on the path of destruction. And God at one time ending our lives early. Finna be gone and on our way and life wasn't full of none but despair and on their way to hell and on the way to the lower parts of the earth, nothing to show for it. But God saved us alive, caught us out of our calamity. Jesus Christ came, put himself in an uncomfortable position when we weren't listening, revealed himself to us. And that's what we do. We do that on a daily in us as believers. But what we get is vitriol for that. Our kindness gets taken for weakness. We get people literally spit on a street preacher. Literally, curse them out. Tell them where they go. Tell them that, I don't want to hear that. You shouldn't be talking to me. This type of stuff. That hurts. But with the Lord tell us, dust ourselves off. Go on and keep moving. Go on to the next. It takes true strength to do that. To present your pearls, the things that are most valuable to you in life, present them to a person who basically look at that and throw it on the ground. Takes true strength. So I just want to let y'all know, look at the people of God standing up right now. You starting to see that. See, when the devil, that was a lie from the devil, because when the devil had believers thinking that Jesus Christ was just a passive punk, it allowed him to get away with a lot. See, because we took the fire of God off the earth. We think that we just trying to be passive, let everybody just do everything. No. Jesus Christ, that's not his character. Get into it. You know what I'm saying? So now you starting to see more people get out of that box that church people have put them in. I'm telling you, it's been pastors who sold that lie. It's been pastors who've done that. Sold that lie of Jesus being some punk. They've been led by and blinded by Satan. But I'm here to tell you, it's a new day. And you finna start seeing Jesus people fighting, standing up, not just physically to defend themselves. Because Jesus people is a lot of people. But look at the UFC. It's a lot of you see a lot of men in the UFC before and after they drop them a nigga and just send his head into the rafters. What are they doing? They on their knees. One person some of these fighters after they win, they drop to their knees and shed tears for telling the Lord, because they've been in the battle and in the war, and the Lord chose the favor. The Lord decided. It was a fair fight, and the Lord decided. And that's fine. That's a great thing. Real men love that. In the midst of combat, the Lord is the one who decides the victor. That's why I always say, I let the Lord just judge between me and men in a situation. Let him do it. So with that being said, in 2022, moving forward, you finna see the people of the Lord rise up, because it's the time. They finna be, Christians are still being attacked and persecuted. So there is a call for us to rise up. And it's not in physical warfare. That is not the religion, what Jesus Christ preached. I just told you what true strength is. Anybody can pick up a gun or push a button and go blow up a whole town of people. Boom, boom. No, that ain't what I'm talking about. And to those who have an ear, let them listen. So with that being said, it is your man, Super Solican. Peace and blessings to the hearers and doers of the word. This is the Awakening Podcast. I'm gone.